concern in designing is you've got sort of the basics, you've got the essentials, you've got the right essence, or you've got something that really works, and that's sort of visible in a skeleton. And then to flesh it out. And what's interesting about Geary is apparently you look at these skeletons and what you see is not clouded or not obscured by the subsequent kind of development. So he is able to add density without losing that kind of energy. So the sort of thing you want to hold on to is how does he do that? And is that a, for instance, or an example that I can follow through in other domains like organizations, like designing management teams and so forth?
I've come to really believe in a very widespread idea, which is iteration, and that it's about a reiterative process of fluidity and closure, and the trick is to keep that going.
I think for management, the liquidity, the serendipity, the opportunism has to just go on all the time. In that sense, architects like Frank Gehry have an advantage, because there comes a point when the funding and the requirements of the job say, we're going to draw a line there. And after that, it's going to become increasingly solid. Now, for the manager, that happens by project. But management is about connecting all those projects together. And so you need people who can at the same time operate with liquidity and crystallization.
That's a Geary vocabulary that people are trying to bring in and are finding plenty of management parallels to it. But what seems to be happening is they're using it as a choice. I get either a liquid thing or I get it crystallized. And designing, which is the beauty of this conference, is that ing, that innocent little ing that's on the end of design, designing, picks up the fact that you may want to move back and forth between liquidity and crystallization.
The creativity and the constraint, the short term and the long term, the technical, rigorous analysis, and the insight and intuition. It's balance between all of those.
Or it's somehow doing them in parallel, and maybe you do part of it and somebody else handles the other kind of responsibility, but they're going on simultaneously, doing them in an alternating manner, trying to keep a kind of balance in there, seems to keep eluding people, because they say, well, it's too liquid for me, or I got to crystallize it, but now it's stuck and I don't know what to do with it. Well, designing ought to keep all of that stuff in motion.
Now, within an organization, you may have people who are very, very good technical analysts, and you may have very good people who are entirely insightful and opportunistic. And it doesn't mean that everybody has got to be both. But your senior executives, the people who are really leading the organization, do have to understand both and have an element of both in them.